Today's the 18th of April. You see the birch trees are starting to leaf out. And we have flowers. We've had tulips. We've had daffodils. But our little palm trees haven't quite greened out yet. We could maybe hope that they start to grow, but they'd be like the grapes, and they haven't quite budded out yet, but they're looking pretty stiff, pretty brown. And our little lemon tree and orange tree, they don't look much better. No buds. No buds at all, really? No buds. No buds. So, cherry tree is in full blossom. Wow. You see the pear tree, got all of it shoots because we haven't pruned it yet. So this morning I pruned this one and it looks a lot different. No water sprouts shooting straight up out of the tree like the other one. And we pruned this little berry patch way back that was hanging clear out over into the grass. And our Reliance peaches are in full bloom. They just keep blooming and blooming. The Prelude raspberries are all leafed out and ready to go. Our shade cloth finally rotted in two, so I took all the torn stuff off the front of the greenhouse. The shade cloth was just sun rotted. You can see the triple crown blackberries are finally starting to leaf out. They need to be thinned and tied up. Patrick's rhubarb's growing well. The back cherry tree is in full bloom. Over there, the apples haven't started to bloom yet. These are some prunings in the back between the shops from last year. We tried to hire a guy and he hasn't showed 2 weeks ago, and he hasn't showed up to grind up and help us do the pruning, grind up all the old ones. The Titans and the Canby thornless, Titan Ranch raspberries are slower to leaf out a little bit than the Canbys, I would say. Canbys are a lot greener down here. Our Seascape strawberries are greening up very nicely. Not much else happening back here. Oh, our Primark Freedom blackberries are leafing out. What we left from last year, we haven't pruned those down. And the Autumn Britain are starting to come up. All the canes have been cut down. And the Polana raspberries, you can see they're starting to grow all down the row. Look at how weeds grow. First row of grapes, we trimmed quite a lot, but they're not fully pruned. Same with the second row. There's some work I can do, but I did quite a bit here to the about a week ago. We pruned these Suffolk reds. Now here's one that's tangled up in there that needs to probably be separated and a little better pruning there, but we're done with most of that there. That row looks really good. This is what happens when you leave your canna lilies. They just die dead. And I doubt they'll start growing again, but I guess we might see if some of them come back. And our zinnias are pretty brown. Last week we parked the trailer here with a broken axle. It's Still trying to get quotes from the axle people. These are the, I can't remember. Those all got cut off, but these haven't been. It's going to be a bit of a chore getting the old canes all up off of the ground when we start cutting in and around the new growth, because it's not done on the Joan Jays yet. And then the Jewel black raspberries. There's some leafing in there, but a lot is just barely budding out, needing to be thinned. Okay, back past the back shop, we have these heritage raspberries, and I see lots of green. I see green down there in the Bristol black raspberries too on the end. Lots of green. Maybe nothing coming up from the ground yet, but the old canes from last year are leafing out and getting ready to re-blossom again. They're continuing blossoming. You can see where the fruit was here. This is where the fruit was last year, so now this year on the flora cane, second year cane, it will blossom and fruit on down until about July or so, middle of July. Then those will die, and anything that comes up new will fruit starting in late August, September, till it freezes, just like these did last year. The new stuff coming up will fruit. That's one of our ever-bearing varieties. This morning, our neighbor Rick came over and tore all of this fencing off of our side of this fence. And you can see between the two, like someone had built the fence and then put siding on the other side, so there was upright siding on both sides, fencing on both sides. And then the leaves and everything gets down in there and causes it to get pretty rotten in places. So he took all the fencing off of this side, and he's going to clean it off, and they're going to paint it a blue-gray color. Last year, we took all this fence down with him, and then he built this fence all by himself, I think. He found some steel posts, some used ones, and some fencing from somewhere, and did a really nice job of building this fence here. The new posts go down in concrete. We've cut our grass twice. It's growing really fast in the rain and the warmer weather. We've had a ton of rain, but it's just really dry and warm. In fact, today was almost 70, and tomorrow's supposed to be almost 80, and then it goes back into the 60s and 40s at night. This is our bleeding heart over at Grandma's. Hers are blooming. Ours is just barely wanting to start blooming here in the next week or so, it looks like. Yeah, there's a better picture. Okay, enough for our garden update.